One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. We live and in full effect. Episode 2. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Last week was my first episode. I could say it was a little, it was different due to the fact that I had to juggle multiple things at the same time. You know, it's not easy like talking to the mic, trying to look forward and then touching this button and that button, but we pulled it off. So I thank you once again for tuning in. I'm not in the happiest of moods. My North Carolina Tar Heels lost today. A lot of naysayers said we shouldn't have even been in March Madness. We should have not been invited to the dance. But sometimes being North Carolina can pull the right strings. And I think in this situation, that's what happened. I think that because we're the mighty North Carolina, who typically makes a run every year, we in the tournament. I think they showed us a little bit of love and we were able to get in. But that being said, we lost today. The team that we lost to was pretty good. They had good defense. We came out and played in the second half because we were down, I think we were down 18 at half. But, you know, we stepped up. We came out in the second half gunning and we lost. I forgot about how many points, but, you know, about less than 10. But that being said, much love to my Tar Heels. We did lose, and I'm still proud of you guys balling today. Now, let's get to the subject at hand today. So, I got an interesting show for you guys. As you can see, the title of the show, Garrett Wilson, is he worth the money? So when we're talking about somebody getting paid 30, 35, 40 million dollars, it would be asinine on my part not to hit you with some statistics. Because one thing I know about sport fans, especially Jets fans, we love stats. So I did a deep dive into Garrett Wilson, and I compared Garrett Wilson's first 3 years in the NFL to, forgive me, guys, let me fix this mic, put it a little higher to my mouth. There you go. I compared Garrett Wilson's first 3 years to the first 3 years of other notable players, just to see where he, you know, if he held his own statistically. So Garrett Wilson in his first 3 years has averaged 93 receptions a year, has averaged almost 1,100 yards, and 4.6 touchdowns a year. So around 4 touchdowns a year. So 93 receptions a year, almost 1,100 yards, and 4 touchdowns a year. I wish the touchdowns were higher. So now that's Garrett Wilson's first 3-year average. Now let's look at other players. T.O. in his first 3 years, Terrell Owens, for those that don't know his nickname, T.O. He only averaged 54 receptions, 851 yards, and 8.6 touchdowns. So double the touchdowns, but way less receptions and way less yards. Excuse me, guys. So Jerry Rice. In Jerry Rice's first 3 years, he averaged 66 receptions, almost 1,200 yards, and 13 touchdowns. So the touchdowns are way higher. The yardage is a little higher by 100 yards, but the receptions are way less. But that's Jerry Rice's first 3 years. Randy Moss. Randy Moss's first 3 years, he averaged 75 receptions, almost 1,400 yards, which is crazy. Listen to this. Randy Moss in his first 3 years averaged almost 1,400 yards a year, 75 receptions, and 14 touchdowns a year. That was his 3-year average. That's crazy. Justin Jefferson. Now, you want to hear crazy? Listen to this. Justin Jefferson in his first 3 years has averaged 108 receptions a year, 1,600 yards, and 8 touchdowns a year. Let me repeat this. In its first 3 years, Justin Jefferson is averaging 1,600 yards, 108 receptions, and 8 touchdowns. Those are some serious. In fact, after doing my research, those are the most impressive numbers from the wide receiver position in the first 3 years in the history of the National Football League. That's crazy. That's why he is the best in the game right now. You got to put respect on his name. Jamar Chase averaged in the first 3 years 89 receptions, over 1,200 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Very impressive as well. So as you can see, the top 2 in the league right now, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, their stats are way stronger than Garrett Wilson's. Not so much in reception for Jamar Chase, but more yardage and over double the touchdowns. Now, this is what I did. As we see, Garrett Wilson's numbers are better than T.O.'s and Jerry Rice's in the first 3 years. What I wanted to do was also now compare Garrett Wilson's numbers to those in this draft class, because I don't only want to I don't want to only compare Garrett Wilson's numbers to dudes like Rice, Moss, Jamar Chase. I want to give him a shot, right? Because his numbers are solid now. In his draft class, Garrett Wilson has the best numbers. The only person close to him is Drake London, who averages 80 receptions a year, a little over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson's numbers in the first 3 years are stronger than Drake London's. Chris Olave is always hurt. So there goes that. So in his draft class, Garrett Wilson has the best numbers for 3 years in the average, right? Now, Garrett Wilson's first 3 years also compare very favorably to CeeDee Lamb, who averages 86 receptions, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown's stats is very impressive, averages 105 receptions a year, 1,100 yards, almost, matter of fact, almost 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. So, as you can see what I'm saying, Garrett Wilson's first 3 years are pretty impressive compared to other wide receivers in the NFL throughout history. Why is this important? Because people are already talking about an extension for Garrett Wilson. Now, we see that DK Metcalf just went over there to Pittsburgh from Seattle for around $30 million a year. I think that Garrett Wilson's ceiling is higher than DK Metcalf's. I think Metcalf's route tree is limited. I also believe that Garrett Wilson would be smart to not accept the first offer that they just make him. You see, when I compared his stats to all the greats that I just read off to you guys, a lot of these guys have better quarterback play than Garrett Wilson. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not saying that, I kind of am making an excuse. Yeah, I am, because if you put Garrett Wilson with a Joe Montana or, a Jalen Hurts or even somebody like a Herbert, I think that Garrett Wilson's numbers would be way higher. How much higher, I can't tell you, but I do know that Garrett Wilson has suffered from bad quarterback play. That's the reality. I believe that Garrett Wilson is going to ask for around $35 to $40 million a year. I know that's crazy. Jamar Chase is the highest paid and he's getting 40. I know. Jetta got, I think it's around there a little bit more. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone. But the reality is this. The market says 35 to 40. That's the market, because you're going to tell me that a player that's only been in the league 3 years playing with bum quarterbacks. Rodgers is not a bum, but he wasn't looking for him last year neither. It was all about Devontae Adams. You're going to tell me that a young wide receiver going into his 4th year with those numbers, averaging 93 receptions a year, almost 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns, you're going to tell me that man is going to take anything less than $35 million? He'll be a fool. He'll be a fool, because if he gets good quarterback play, just above average quarterback play, he's going to get at least $35 million a year. I'm thinking his range is 35 to 40. I'll be surprised if he signed for 4 years, 120, which is an average of 30. I wouldn't take that deal if I was him. And if I'm his agent, I'm telling him, don't take that deal. I think Garrett Wilson's going to get around 4 years, 135, 140 million. I think I can see him getting 35 to 40. And I know, once again, Jamar Chase is the highest paid wide receiver in football right now. I believe it's him. Justin and Div, they're so close to one another. But like I said, the market determines the contract value. And right now, dudes is getting paid. If DK Metcalf just got $30 million a year from Pittsburgh, a team that's not been known to cut the check. Pittsburgh is kind of a cheap organization. That's why I was surprised that they cut that check for DK. Trust me when I tell you that Garrett Wilson, one of the most dynamic young receivers in football, is going to garner $35 to $40 million a year. Now, here's the question I want to ask you guys. Jimmy Jets, if you're still on. Are you willing to take the risk, not sign him now, wait out another year, with the chances of him going crazy this year? If Garrett Wilson puts up 1,500 yards, 110 receptions, 12, 13 touchdowns, get ready to give him $40 million. That's what's going to happen. So if we have any chance, and not that it's all money, but we do like to act like it's all money as Jet fans. All fans, right? All sport fans, we think it's all money. Knowing damn well we ain't paying nothing. Some of us don't even go to the games because it's so expensive. But do you offer him a $30 million a year contract now to see if he bites on it? Or once again, do you play hardball and wait and then he explodes? Well, Jimmy, even if we run the ball, right? Because I agree with you. We are going to run the ball heavy this year. Even if we do that, he's still going to have a better year, I think, than he's had in the past. I'm predicting he's going to have at least 1,300 yards, 100 receptions, and around 8 to 10 touchdowns. That's my prediction for him. I think we're going to do everything in our power to get him the ball. And even with those numbers, although they're not Justin Jefferson numbers or Jamar Chase numbers, with those numbers right there that I read off, that's $35 million a year. And he's going to get it. So my theory is pay him early. Lock him down now. I know everybody's like, oh, why not lock down Sauce? Let's see what Sauce does this year before we offer him the contract. We go with franchise tag either one of them. 32, that's decent. That's decent. He might bite on 32 a year. So 32 a year for 4 years is what? That's 128 million, I believe, right? Around there, 30, 60, 90, 120. Yeah, that's around 128 a year, $128 million over 4 years. He might bite on that contract. But here's the thing we all got to understand, right? The market's changed. When you see what quarterbacks are getting now, huge contracts. To be honest, Josh Allen gave Buffalo a discount because I don't know why. He must love Buffalo. I don't know, because he could have got more than what he got, but you heard him speaking. He seems humble. He said, I can get anything I want now. I don't need to be the highest paid. But he could have got more than that. The market's crazy right now. And you know what? I'm not mad at these players. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not mad. These owners make mad money. All these owners are billionaires. Let me explain. I told you this last episode. Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, bought the Jets for $635 million. The team is worth around $9 billion right now. Let me repeat that. He bought the team for less than $700 million, and now the team is worth $9 billion. That's just to give you an idea of how much money these owners make. So I'm not mad at players getting their bread. Now, I would offer him a contract sooner rather than later. In fact, I won't let him start the season before locking him down for at least 4 years. This reminds me of the situation of Darrelle Revis back in the days. He always was crying for money. And I'm a big, love my Jets, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not too fond of Revis due to the fact that he ended up playing with the New England Patriots. To see him win a Super Bowl with the Pats just left a bad taste in my mouth towards Revis. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really respect him, man. I'd rather he would have gone to any other team but the Pats. That being said, Revis did the same thing. Hell, without wanting more money, it became ugly with us. Year after year, Revis and the Jets had money issues. It was always a situation with the real Revis, and I don't want that to become an issue with Garrett Wilson. Pay the young gunner now because he's going to get his bread regardless. Regardless, he's going to get his money. Now, some other side news, right? Let's pause on Garrett Wilson. Now, I think I went kind of in depth with Garrett Wilson, gave you a lot of statistics for all the statistical nerds. You did hear the news that Aaron Rodgers visited the Pittsburgh Steelers today. So Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh. I've heard dudes on the radio, you know, these big networks talk about it don't matter. Pittsburgh ain't going to do nothing. Whoa. Relax. Pittsburgh hasn't had a legitimate quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger, and that was a while ago. You mean to tell me with Pickens and Metcalf, decent run game, that Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, a team that makes the playoffs regardless, can't make a run? Let me tell you something. If Aaron Rodgers is what I think he is, healthy right now, with those two wideouts, with better play calling than the Jets gave him, sadly, don't be surprised if they make a run in the AFC playoffs, because they can beat anybody, Pittsburgh, when they got good quarterback play. And Aaron Rodgers will provide Pittsburgh or Blitzburg. Are they still Blitzburg or they kind of fell off? I don't know. Land, let me know. They can give anybody a run, and they will be a scary out to play in the playoffs, especially if they get a home game. I think Pittsburgh plays the Ravens strong. They play everybody in their division strong, but especially the Ravens. I'm telling you now, if Rodgers and company gets into the playoffs in Pittsburgh and they get a home game, don't be surprised you see Aaron in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs of Buffalo or something crazy like that. You can go back to this video. There'll be plenty of videos after this, but we can always come back to this and see if my prediction was true, because I'm telling you now, I got them making noise if Rodgers signs in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is one of the three best coaches in football. For me, it's Tomlin, Reed, not in order. For me, it's Tomlin, Reed, and the boy out there in the Rams, Sean McVay. And then if you want to round out the top five, you got to put some respect on John Harbaugh's name out there in San Diego, because look, the first year they in the playoffs. And then this might be a crazy take, but you got to respect that dude in Philly. Because for all the heat he gets, that he's this and he's that, man, he know how to win. Sirianni knows how to win. I don't like him. I don't like his face. I know he's a little emotional, but man, he be winning. And at the end of the day, last I checked, it's all about winning Super Bowls. So, yeah. Anyway, my Jets ain't looking good, man. To be honest, we need to hit on the draft. And we're going to talk about the draft. I got a little draft special, only talking about our first round, number 7 pick. That will be Sunday at I believe it's scheduled for, you can check on my page on live. I believe it's scheduled for Sunday, 8 p.m. It should be 8 p.m. Sunday. It's a little draft situation I put together discussing possible Jets draft picks at number 7 and who I think we should take at number 7. Y'all should tune in for that. That's going to be a pretty good episode. I'm also doing a lot of research with that. But right now, Aaron Glenn and Muji, the GM, have put themselves in a very awkward position. I don't see any defensive line depth. I don't see any wide receivers aside from Garrett Wilson. I don't see no tight ends, no defensive line, and we need a right tackle. And we need more depth. We did get some depth pieces on the line. I think our line is not as weak as people think it is. It might be stronger, but we do need a right tackle. Long story short, We got this kid quarterback in Fields. I don't know how I feel about him. I'm going to be honest with you. My hopes ain't too high. I'm not going to lie. My hopes were high when Aaron Rodgers came out with the flag. I had tears in my eyes, and I ain't been the same since. We need to hit at least 3 to 4 draft picks that can start for us. And I said this earlier on Jake Asman's show that in 1974, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted. Let me make sure I'm saying this right, because I don't want to give you false information, because this stat I'm going to hit you with is crazy. Where is that? Hold up. Here you go. Check this out. In 1974, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in their first 5 draft picks, got 4 Hall of Famers from that. Think about that. In their first 5 draft picks of the 1974 NFL draft, Pittsburgh, 4 of them became Hall of Famers. 4 out of the 5 picks. That's crazy. Now, I'm not saying we got a draft like that this year, but my God, that would be nice, because we need the help. We need the help. Now, check this out. I'm around 20, almost 25 minutes into the show. It's time for one of my favorite segments of the show. Okay? And I think you guys will know what it is. But without further ado, let me get my stuff ready. I want to make sure I'm on point, you know? I want my show to be different from other people's shows. I think you noticed that already. I think it's going to be more, you're not going to get the extra animated June the GM that you see on other shows, having fun, bugging out. I think sometimes me having fun gets misunderstood for not being as intellectual of a human being as I am, because to be honest with you, I'm a smart dude. Now, I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but I'm also not the dullest. Check this out. You know what time it is? I'm going to tell you what time it is right now. Check it out. Yeah. It's GOAT Talk, baby. My favorite segment of the show, where we highlight a past legendary player who I consider to be one of the GOATs of the game, because in football, there's not like one GOAT like Mike in basketball. But with no further ado, let me break down these stats before I tell you who the GOAT is that we are highlighting today. When he retired, this man held the record for the most receptions, yards, and touchdowns of all time. He played through 2 strikes. Yeah, the NFL went on strike before. Check that out. Several times. He has 819 career receptions for 13,089 yards, 101 touchdowns, 7 Pro Bowls, won the Walter Payton Man of the Year, and in 1995 got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Who am I talking about? We are talking about none other than one of the baddest white boys you've ever seen catch the rock. This boy's bad. Steve Largent. That's right. The Seattle Seahawk himself. Steve Largent was one of the nastiest wide receivers you've ever seen. If you think Wayne Corbett was nasty, do me a favor when you got some time. Look up Steve Largent. You heard those stats. You want to know something? He was only 5'11", 187 pounds. That don't even make sense. 5'11", 187. Put it in all that work. And he played it in era. And you guys know who's tuning in. Back then, they used to take your head off. It wasn't this nice, he hit him too high, flag. No. Back then, they were giving you clotheslines, head hunting, collar tackles, you name it. It was beyond violent, the NFL, when Steve Largent was playing. When you got time, if you're a real football purist, if you're really somebody who loves football and loves good stories in football, I'm going to tell you something to look up. The video is around 3 minutes long. Look up the video of Steve Largent getting his revenge on the safety, Mike Harden from the Denver Broncos. Look that up. So what happened was, one game, Steve Largent, David Craig, I believe, was the quarterback, led him too much to the middle, and the kid Mike Harden came and decapitated him. Knocked him out for at least 5 minutes. His family thought he was dead. They say it in the video. We thought something was wrong with Dad. He'd never wake up. Years later, same teams are playing each other. Seahawks against Denver. The kid Mike Harden gets the interception. And as he's returning the into, who lays him out and decapitates him? Steve Largent. He gets his revenge. You guys have to see this. It's on YouTube. Please do yourself a favor and watch the Steve Largent, Mike Harden story. It's amazing. Not only did Largent get his revenge and lay him out, but the guy fumbled and he recovered the fumble, Steve Largent. There's not too many stories that you will hear in football with an ending like that. That's magical. That's incredible. You will never hear stories like that. Check it out when you have time. But once again, much love and respect to one of the baddest players I've ever seen from the wide receiver position, Mr. Steve Largent. And that today was your GOAT Talk. Yo, is it me or GOAT sounding mad crazy? Some dudes sound crazy. So this is part of the show. You know, when I'm going to take some callers if anybody wants to jump in on the phone lines, talk a little bit of football or anything else that's on their mind pertaining to sports. Because although I like to cover my Jets a lot, I do cover other sports, especially if it's big news, whether it's NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball, you know, whatever you want to talk. If anybody wants to jump on the line, now's the time. I believe the link, let me put the link on there because I did not put the link, which is very interesting. I should have had that link up a long time ago. Okay, the link is up now if anybody wants to call in. But, you know, like I told you, I wanted to switch things up. I noticed that a lot of great players from back in the days are forgotten and not talked about. It happens a lot in basketball, too. A lot of these young gunners like to make fun of players from the 80s, the 70s, and things like that in basketball. And it's just like, really, like, you know, every era has its great. So I definitely want to pay homage always to the greats of yesteryear in the NFL. So far, episode 1, who was it we did episode 1? Were we talking about, damn, you see, I got too much on my mind. Episode 1 was, Eric Dickerson. And this episode was Steve Largent. I'll have another one for Sunday show, by the way, another GOAT Talk for Sunday show, 8 p.m. We're going to be talking NFL draft, the number 7 slot with the New York Jets. That's going to be a really good show. Are there any callers? Anybody want to call in, want to talk, want to build, want to talk some sports? If not, I'm already half hour in. I'll leave you with my closing thoughts. And, you know, I'll get off of this and jump on somebody else's chat, man, to support somebody else. But let me say this. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. There's a lot of things I'm still trying to figure out. I don't think that I can do things like, you know, super chats and things like that. I need to have an X amount of followers. I do plan on figuring out giveaways and gifts because I do want to have gifts for everybody that tunes in, and they're going to be some dope gifts. I'm telling you some dope stuff. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to have autographed jerseys by Joe Montana, because you got to pay big money for that. But I will have some dope stuff that you can throw on and really look fresh in it. I'm gonna have, people join the show who are way more educated than me in certain areas of football. So, I'm just getting started. Thank you for working with me, for tuning in, for taking time out your busy evening to check me out. So I appreciate you. I'm grateful. And don't forget, Sunday, 8 p.m., we're going to be talking about Welcome to New York, the New York Jets draft special. God bless. Thanks for tuning in.